Hi, everybody. Welcome to Am I the Asshole podcast. I'm Danny Vega, joined by my lovely, lovable co-host, Sarah. Sarah, how are you today?
I'm good, Danny. How are you?
I'm very good, guys. The bad news is that I sort of dumped all my juice off in the Patreon.
Same.
But, well, Sarah, I think you got to tell the headline here.
Or do
No?
we make them sign up for the Patreon?
Oh, don't do that to them. Just tell them the headline.
Okay, the headline is I'm off the market officially. Sorry to all the listeners who were definitely pining after me.
Woo, they all were. They all were. Well, yeah, my situation, I did celebrate a wonderful V-Day with previously the crush. And, you know, it remains to be determined how things go, but we had an amazing Valentine's Day. So I have a lot of hope and excitement. You know, we're trying to work things out. We're figuring it out. But, you know, I think it's not necessarily been as smooth as I'd have wanted, but I think we both like each other and we both think we're amazing people. We're just running into some turbulence, people. It can happen to any one of us.
Yes, it can.
But suffice it to say, folks, I hope you're all doing well in COVID. I mean, I do have, we got a great submish here about the cookies. I love this. Thank you for writing in,
yes.
listener. Saying, you know, that they're getting FOMO. You are not the asshole for getting FOMO for New York cookies. You're not. And I want to tell you, dear listener, I looked at Goldbelly, which is where I got my pie cake-ins, and you can order stuff from anywhere in the country. So that's one way. If you're willing to spend the money, it is a bit pricey. You can order cookies from New York. That's one thing you could do. But let me tell you something, and it is that I think that grocery store baked goods often slap. And I knew this, right? Like I knew this from being a kid, but I hadn't like tested this hypothesis after kind of becoming a cookie consultant. And I went in over here.
Unofficially.
This is a little bit of New York lore for you guys. So everyone knows a bodega. Bodega is like a kind of like a 7-Eleven convenience store, but it's kind of like local and it's owned by someone local, and you know your bodega guy, and there's like a cat there, and that's a bodega, and everyone loves a bodega. But a bodega can evolve like a Pokemon into a Korean grocery, and I don't know why it's always Korean, but that's just what it is.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about? Are you with me on this?
I'm not getting the Korean grocery.
A Korean grocery, you could almost fool yourself into thinking it is a bodega, depending on how nice it is. Like some are very nice, so you wouldn't really think that, but some are like kind of in between like a nice grocery store and a bodega, and they've got everything that's like really cool, but they might still have like a cat, and then they'll have like a juicer, you know, they'll still have a deli like a bodega. So it's kind of got everything a bodega has, but it's just like a level up. But not quite like a big grocery like a Safeway or a Publix or whatever. It's kind of like splits the difference there.
Okay, I'll take your word on it.
Yeah. Anyway, I go to my local Korean grocery, which is like you wouldn't walk in here and be like, oh, this is a small business, but like you can tell it's like it's not a chain or anything really. Like maybe there's a handful, but anyway, I see they got a sale on cookies. I got to look at these cookies, and I opted for M&M chocolate chip cookies. It was called Jimmy's brand. It was like a tin. I would describe it as a tin. It wasn't made of tin. That's just kind of the shape of it.
Okay, I'm with you.
Each cookie had 110 calories, and I thought, no problem. I'll throw down a couple of these, maybe 3. And that will be half the amount in a giant Chip City cookie, which we looked up has 600 calories.
You're working smarter, not harder.
So I take this thing back. And then the other aspect here is that my roommate's girlfriend made these incredible snickerdoodle cookies. And Chip, by the way, Chip, what are you doing? Make snickerdoodles. They don't make snickerdoodles. They do when?
They rarely come out.
It's it's crazy. I mean, a snickerdoodle.
And instead they're trying to push the bagel cookie on us. Like, stop with the propaganda.
It's insane. It's insane. Get rid of the everything bagel, which is insane. It's sick. I need to drink water. I'm getting so worked up. You're going against nature and God with an everything bagel cookie. Are you listening to yourself? What's next? A salmon cake? It's disgusting. Chip City. And we say this because we love you, Chip City. Get a snickerdoodle cookie.
We just want you to do better.
Get a snickerdoodle cookie, you sickos. Anyway, so I was trying to get this tin of cookies, and then I thought, I'll kind of get my roommate back. He can have one of the cookies because he had given me some of these snickerdoodle cookies. And I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's winter. I don't know if I just have emotional problems. I mean, I had a great therapy sesh, but I straight up housed the whole tin, Sarah. I straight up housed 11 of these cookies over the course of like 4 hours. And then I told myself, well, that's just like having 2 Chip City cookies, so it's not that big of a deal.
Love that. That's impressive. I mean, you are a real cookie connoisseur at this point, I feel like.
They're great. They're great, and I had a friend who swore by sheet cakes from grocery stores, and I got to admit, like, I've had some, they slap, dude. They're fucking great.
You know what? The Publix is a sheet cake, and you just do like buttercream frosting. It's so good. I had to get these like for my sorority for like this fancy night, and I was like, what do I do? And they're like, go to Publix, get like a couple sheet cakes.
Yep.
Amazing,
and that I think that's a good insight because like when I was younger and I made a little TikTok about how I'm basic now. I've just been like,
I saw that.
There's a time and a place, I think is what I'm realizing. Like, yeah, there is some times when I want to bouge out and like really like go to the nines and like I'm so happy that like I've gotten to eat at some of the finest restaurants in the world. But like, when it comes down to it, Domino's and grocery store sheet cake, like that night can be one of the best nights of your life because that's just great food, people,
Yes. It's called versatility.
Sometimes you gotta be basic, sometimes you gotta be fancy, but like, if someone shows up with like a $5 tin of cookies, then you're not gonna get it because I'm gonna eat the whole tin.
So hands off.
All right, people. Well, that's our cookie juice. And I feel like we got one other. Did we get another email about something? Oh, yeah, we got another review. I wanted to talk about briefly. It was a 5-star review. Somebody took umbrage with my concept here. I got to be very careful. Once again, being called sexist.
Oh, boy.
It's okay. I've learned to feel. Well, first of all, we got a review that just says the best 5 stars. Thank you for that review. Love to read it. And then, it was a review. That's why I couldn't find it. Stop the Cookie Talk. This was 5 stars. Let me start by saying this is my favorite pod. Danny and Sarah, the funniest hosts I've come across, and their banter is basically the highlight of my week.
Oh my gosh, thank you.
So sweet, right? However, being from nowhere near New York, the Cookie Talk makes me sad. It gives me FOMO, as the millennials say. Talk about some Midwest bakeries next time. AITA for FOMO.
Send us cookies. Oh, no, just give us the names.
Yo, if you find one on Goldbelly or anything I can order online, reviewer, you better believe I will order it and review your Midwest cookies.
What I've heard the Midwest does that makes me ill is like I don't know if they call it bagel fries or if I just made it up, but they slice a bagel like vertically in a bunch of different slices and then they dip it into cream cheese, and that is a crime.
I think that actually is a crime. I'm not ready for that.
I'm not
ready
either
for that.
But like I can get behind the cookies. You can't fuck it up.
I'm not okay with that kind of like. Can bagels just be what they are, people? Enough.
Stop making them cookies and stop making them fries.
Stop. But that said, I have had some Midwest donuts, so I have a lot of faith in the Midwest. Like, kind of like throwing down some killer. Like, I know Louisiana has king cake. I don't know if I know of a Midwest specific cake, but I'm totally open to it.
I thought that was just a Mardi Gras thing.
Yeah, well, Louisiana's kind of Mardi Gras city, isn't it?
Yeah, New Orleans.
NOLA, baby. 5-star review. Danny has gotten better, but wow, story of my life. Yikes, Danny's sexism returns. The most recent ep, week before V-Day, Danny talks about how he doesn't believe that women use makeup for themselves, leaving poor Sarah to defend it while laughing it off. It's really a shame because Danny had been getting better with his nastier tendencies and steamrolling when it comes to the topic of women. Okay, I believe I have thought of that. I thought, first of all, thank you for the review. Thank you for the 5 stars, by the way, because this would have hurt my feelings more if it was 4, but we still got the 5. You are right. You are right. And I thought about this because I have a friend who's a bodybuilder, which I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, is very analogous, right? I mean, obviously there's women bodybuilders, but there's guys who put on makeup. And you say, oh, well, why does he bodybuild? Oh, well, he does that to get chicks, right? And I can see that logic holding. It's very similar, right? It's very similar. Bodybuilding is, it's not fun.
Yeah, but like, was that your immediate thought?
No, well, what I was saying, I was trying to understand this, right? Because my immediate thought was, oh, that's bullshit, Sarah. Women do makeup for other people, not necessarily men. I've come to understand that, but they do it to impress other women as well. And speaking heteronormatively here, obviously. But what I thought about was, so if I was running this logic the other way, I would say, well, a bodybuilder is just doing that to get chicks. But my friend's married. I know he's not doing it to get chicks. He just does it because that's what he likes to do. So
yes.
Once I thought of that, I was like, yeah, so makeup to me is similar. It's like adjusting your appearance in this way. Obviously, I think exercise gets a little, like running to me is like very different because it feels so good. But personally, I hate bodybuilding type of exercise. So you're right, OP. You're right. I fucked up. Women put on makeup alone by themselves just to fuck around and have fun. And there's nothing wrong with that. And they're not doing it for any other purpose. And I understand that is a real thing. I accept this.
The fact that you had to like think of a male analogy to just accept that women can do something that isn't just to please other people is like a bit, I don't know, sad. And I was actually going to text you on Friday because I've tried to explain this to people before, and I don't know if anyone has this, but you can have a bad hair day. I contend that you can have a bad face day. Like, not necessarily your skin, but just I'm looking in the mirror and I could see the same exact reflection staring back at me. And some days I'm like, that's money. And some days I'm like, I'm hideous. I was having one of these days on Friday, a bad face day. I was like, I had my outfit on and I was like, you know what would spice this up for me? I'm going to put on a lipstick, like a light brown, like nude. And I was like, and I did this because I just felt like it would make it look better for me to look at in the mirror. And I was going to hang out with my now boyfriend. And I was like, it doesn't make any sense. I'm about to put on 2 masks. It also doesn't make sense because I'm going to kiss him. And it also doesn't make sense because it's like a brown lipstick and he's not going to like it. But like for me, it's just going to pull the look for me. So I did it. I actually took a selfie. I can send it to you later if you care. But, and so I thought about texting you at that moment just to be like, it was just for me.
Well, I love that. And thank you for giving a concrete example. I'm happy to own the sexism. I think if that's how we want to boil this down. But I admit that I think everyone should admit they have sexist underpinnings and whatever.
Yeah, we all do.
We all do. It's been programmed into us, sexism, racism, all these things. So I agree. But let me say, in my slight defense, I think that notion of doing things for oneself is fairly new to me. Just generally speaking, the idea of self-care, the idea of self-love, That's
kind of sad.
It is sad, Sarah. Absolutely, it's sad. Well, I had to go on a self-love journey, to understand this shit, to understand things like boundaries, to understand like things like, well, no, like you really should just do some things for you. And that's been a huge insight for me. So like, I was always in a very different, like all the shit I was saying about single people. Oh, single people, are all just looking for someone, blah, 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 and like, I think that was rooted in my concept where it's like, in order to be a complete person and live a whole life, you have to have someone. And I don't feel that way anymore. I truly don't.
Well, that's good.
It is good. And it's freeing because I'm like, well, no, that's really not what it is. And like, I just got to do certain things for me. I'm trying to think of I feel like running is a good example because it's like, it makes me feel good. It's just part of making me feel like I have a balanced life. This person actually went on, this reviewer, they said, I enjoy listening to the pod every week, but Danny needs to realize that the things he is saying are actually gross or stick to debating cookies and discussing self-help books. I agree. And you know what?
Please, everybody, we talk about cookies. Some of you hate it. Some of you say stick to cookies.
Well, I really, to send this home, reviewer, I think my discussion in the notion that women only put on makeup for men or for other people is as disgusting as the Chip City everything bagel cookie. You heard it here, people. You heard it here.
Honestly,
guys.
Yeah.
Please rate, review, and subscribe. We really appreciate it. It helps the podcast grow. Give us 5 stars on iTunes. We'll read that shit on the air like we just did. Oh man, if you got on the Patreon right now, I think we just dropped one of the juiciest eps of all time. All kinds of juice. Sarah
Truly.
Juice, Danny Juice. Sarah was.
I think second to the time I like straight yelled at you, but this is very good.
And I actually did kind of cry on an episode. I was reading a situation and I kind of cried. So like we're getting there.
Yes.
Patreon.com/AITA pod. Please join. Please support. We love to see it. You can do the call-in show. Anything you want, we'll do it for you. Let's play a little guess the verdict. AITA for ordering off the kids menu as a teenager.
I mean, like, I'm going to go with not the asshole, and whoever has a problem with that is.
You would think.
Oh my God.
But
Come
you'd
on.
be wrong.
What?
Here's the story. OP orders off the kids menu. Waitress says it's only for kids. It was a 12 and under menu. OP says they actually are a kid, and then they tell in the post, well, that's because they're 18, so technically they are a kid. OP then uses...
No, they're an adult.
I know, right? I didn't really get the logic there. OP then uses a credit card to pay. Waiter calls it out. Kids don't have credit cards. Calls her manager over. Okay, this is where the shit gets real fucked up. Manager is like, oh, let me get this straight. So you want me to charge this guy $16, not the kid's price of $7? And then the manager's like, well, you know, he ate the kid's portion, so like he didn't get as much food as an adult, so we can't do that. So
okay,
OP is like pissed that the waitress tried to run this shit on him, tips very poorly. Next day, he sees on the restaurant's Facebook that the kids menu is for literal kids. AITA.
Wait, so they sort of like subtweeted him?
They totally subtweeted him.
That's funny.
Top verdict, YTA, if the menu says 12 and under, it means 12 and under, which I think that is true. Like, clearly you're not 12 if you're 18.
Yeah. I mean, that said, I love a kid's meal just because of the portions.
It's like what normal people eat. Like, if you go to Europe, they serve you kids' meal portions.
Like, I feel like if they gave it to him and he just ate that portion, I don't see why it's a problem.
Well, because I think
the waitress gave it to him and then tried to be like, no, you have to pay more.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. It's like, look, you fell for it, waitress. Just let it go.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I guess I just feel like don't lie to your waitress. But like, why? Yeah, I mean, she was the one who involved the manager, so it wasn't even like she was going to get in trouble.
Yeah, that's bizarre. So it was a YTA?
It was a YTA. I mean, honestly, rereading this is such a minor grift.
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
not even a grift.
It's a very low-key grift. It's not a grift. You're right. And then I actually kind of feel like this is not the asshole.
That's a thing of just like trying to see what you can get away with.
Yeah, and it's not like the waitress was the victim, but the waitress also randomly tried to penalize OP. Why? She wasn't even in trouble. Nothing was going to happen to her.
Yeah, I mean, he's the asshole for, like, I don't know, taking it out on her tip.
Well, but that was rude.
Yeah.
How can he be the asshole if she involved the manager and you won't even call it a grift?
Yeah, I mean, I don't get why he's the asshole in this situation.
So I think we agree this is not the asshole and the waitress is.
Yeah.
We might have to do this one.
Was it a really new Reddit post? Like the verdicts haven't like evened out yet, maybe?
I actually got it off Am I the Asshole Filtered, which is only the most interesting AITA posts. I think they're ones that are so controversial they're deleted. I don't know.
Interesting. That's fun. Okay, well, I got mine off regular Am I the Asshole, and it's AITA for calling my wife creepy and a gold digger for repeatedly trying on my mother's belongings.
That's creeping the shit out of me. It's either at YTA or at ESH. I'm going to go ESH.
Damn it, you're right.
Yes, I have it. It's come back to me. I must continue eating everything bagel cookies.
Okay, so the OP's parents, this is a weird one. I think we have some good fodder for a Guess the Verdict episode part 2.
Oh boy.
Because we just did that on the Patreon, guys. We did 2 situations that we'd previously sort of glossed over in games of Guess the Verdict and then decided they were too interesting to not discuss. So I think this is one of those. I think yours is one of those. Okay. The OP's parents are wealthy, but not OP because he's sort of cut off. However, he and his wife are living with OP's mom. It's a little bit weird. Okay, by OP's own admission, the mom can be pretty bitchy. That was their quote, not mine. And this has been tough on the wife. So the mom caught the wife trying on one of her gowns. Wife was embarrassed and said she just wanted to feel glamorous and apologized. Okay. Then the mom's boyfriend recently proposed with a huge rock, and I think you know where this is going to go. While the mom was in the shower, wife tried on the ring, and a shit show ensued. The mom's boyfriend even got involved and tossed a pair of underwear at her and said, "Do you want to try on her underwear too?" Later, the wife cried to OP and said she's just jealous. because mom has nice stuff. And OP said that was really creepy and makes him feel like he married a gold digger. Top verdict was ESH. Your wife should keep her hands off your mom's stuff. Name calling isn't the solution. You suck for that. You don't get to pass this, as in the post, off with, I'm a pretty simple guy and don't really care about that lifestyle, while you're living off your mom, taking advantage of a lifestyle someone else's hard work pays for, while you're clearly married to someone who is not happy doing that.
Crazy. This might be worth covering. There's a lot there.
Woo.
A lot of juice there. AITA for saying I won't come to my kid's birth.
Oh my God.
Right?
Okay, but now I know you're getting it from this controversial place.
It's true.
So I'm going to throw a curveball.
Here we go.
And say not the asshole.
Ooh, you bunted and you struck out.
Oh, we hate to see it.
GF has severe anxiety. She's pregnant with OP's second kid. GF wants to give birth at home. OP does not support the decision. He says he won't be there if she goes this route. He says he's not going to blindly support her awful choices. That's really it. Embarrassed Strain 4 with the top Reddit comment. OP, you need to be there and you need to hire a midwife or nurse that knows what they're doing.
Yes, a doula too.
Yeah, for the home birth. It would be incredibly irresponsible for you to not do these things. Your GF is being unreasonable by not wanting professional assistance with this birth. However, it's her choice whether to do it at home or hospital. You can't force her hand. ESH.
Oof. Does she suck for wanting a home birth? Is that what the argument is?
I feel the argument.
I don't think that's really fair.
She's not wanting professional assistance.
I mean, I think that's dumb.
They're also
and dangerous.
Yeah, I would say that's asshole-ish. If anything that's endangering a child makes you an asshole in my book.
Oh, yeah.
But I think the other component
and
is
herself.
I simplified this, but there really was like it was very monolithic. Like she's just like, I'm doing it at home, and it's like I don't know. It feels like at least a thing to talk through together. Good Lord, it's your child.
Yeah, 100%. That's yeah. 'Cause now I want to read this situation too. Anyway, okay. AITA for telling my boss his feelings are for therapy.
Ooh, okay. So I'm seeing this as boss crossed the line, coworker set a boundary. Is boss an asshole? He crossed the line. He's the boss. I'm just going to go no assholes here.
You'd be wrong.
Well,
not even close.
I had to miss one.
You did. Okay, this is really fun for me because the OP starts off this post by saying, I was assigned 3 projects at work, 2 I love and 1 I hate. I told management I would support the hated projects as long as I kept the other 2. They agreed as this aligned with my development plan, which they approved. Okay, so here's the deal. The company is short-staffed, and the 2 projects out of 3 that OP liked got transferred to another department. And honestly, the OP is just being extremely salty about this. And so in a one-on-one meeting with his manager, the manager tried to explain the rationale behind what happened. OP said, and I'm quoting, "No further explanation is needed, and that I respectfully don't want to discuss it anymore, especially since these are no longer within my assignments." And then the manager kind of was like, well, I think I should give you an explanation. And then the OP cuts him off and says his feelings are for therapy and he'd rather use his one-on-one time to discuss the projects he's assigned as well as his career development. Whoa. Okay, so the top comment was, YCA, you're lucky you still have a job. And then they said, I'm seeing why they removed these projects from you. You're not a team player at all. You only want to be a team player when it benefits you and your promotion. Oof.
So I don't understand why if the projects were removed from him, but it was a bad thing.
Yeah, because he got taken off, I guess, the 2 projects that he liked.
And so, but he didn't want to discuss them anymore.
He didn't want to discuss the rationale behind why they did it.
Because he just didn't want to go into it.
I mean, I think because he was salty.
Right.
And just didn't want to hear about it.
Interesting. I don't know. See, I worry because, like, We should do this one too, because I feel like a lot of people are like, there's so many fucking toxic workplaces out there. People tell me stories. Like, I read so much shit on like Reddit, like malicious compliance and all. By the way, malicious compliance. I could do malicious compliance. Oh, it's so good. If you don't know, guys, it's like anytime a boss says something of like, you know, like, whatever you do, no matter what happens, don't ever let this door shut. You know, and then it's like, well, I saw, 55 raccoons outside and I knew they would eat our entire cookie storage, but my boss said what he said. And so I complied. And then the raccoons eat everything. But yeah, I think there's a culture in America, especially like there was this great tweet about how like people at the grocery store have to like stand up for no reason just because like America and like just, I don't know. I feel like there's like a lot of toxic workplaces, but I'm not saying that's the situation.
I don't really think this is one of them. Like my read, and I could post the situation on the group, but like the manager was they had a one-on-one meeting. The manager goes, hey, like I know you're kind of upset about this strategy change. Like, let me explain to you. And the OP's like, nope, I don't want to hear it. And then the manager goes, well, I feel an explanation. And OP goes, nope, your feelings are for therapy. Like that is... You can't say that to your manager.
No, you can't. You can't.
And also, like, because that's just a swipe, and it's rude as fuck, and like you can't say that shit.
Right? No, you can't. That's whack.
Yeah.
Guys, friendly reminder: please rate, review, subscribe. We really appreciate it. Throw us 5 stars. Complain about me. Do whatever you got to do. Maybe don't complain. We've been on a good run. People have been nicer to me. Being called sexist in all caps is nice if it's 5 stars. Anyway, join us on Patreon, patreon.com/AITA pod. We got one heck of an ep for you today. Our second story of the day, AITA for telling my parents I hope their decision haunts them in death. But first, AITA for demanding my boyfriend give me money for condiments that he uses at my apartment. Wow. This was
a request?
We love a request, people. Throw it in the form.
Yeah, definitely.
AITApod.com. My BF and I are in college. I don't live with him. I live with 2 of my friends. My boyfriend stays over a lot, though. He's been doing something that irks me. If we eat dinner at my place, whether that be we get takeout, delivery, or cook, he just helps himself to any condiment in the fridge. Condiments that I didn't buy. I mean, sure, I bought some. But he definitely will use any of the ones in there, which some were bought by my roommates. He's usually very respectful of their belongings. He will never just eat a food item that he knows is one of theirs. But I've called him out on this thing with the condiments, and he doesn't think it's a big deal. He says that he doesn't eat their food and asks why it's a big deal if he uses a squirt of some condiment. I had an awkward situation when my BF and I were eating eggs and my roomie was sitting in the couch. He just went to the fridge to grab a hot sauce that was hers. She shot me a pretty awkward look, like saying, did he just take my sauce without saying anything? I felt bad and apologized later. I then demanded my boyfriend give me some money to buy more condiments, or he could buy his own and keep them at my place. He's not happy about this and doesn't want to give me money. He really thinks I'm overreacting because it's, quote, just condiments. Am I the asshole?
I mean, it's just condiments, but they're not hers to take.
I don't know. I honestly am just like, gee, what is I mean, are we so poor here we can't give a squirt of ketchup to this motherfucker? I mean, give me a break. I mean,
maybe.
Give me a break.
They're in college.
In our house, we have rules. Spices and condiments are open game. That even includes, I was grandfathered into this, Momofuku spices, really nice spices that my roommate has. I'm allowed to use that shit on my eggs.
You got a good deal.
I did get a good deal.
I mean, same, but also I can respect if that's not their situation.
I guess you're right. The culture of the house is that you don't just use condiments. So where I guess I'm getting lost is, why is OP demanding boyfriend give her money for condiments?
Because he's the one using them?
No.
I mean...
What is the money for? To compensate the roommate whose sauce?
I was thinking just to buy their own set. They can go halves on, everybody put in $3, and you have enough ketchup to last you until 2023.
It is a lot, though. I mean, it's just like, I don't know. It's like, fucking, what if you went to a house and they're like, oh, we don't have our own silverware here, but you can rent mine? I'd be like, okay. It's like, you know what I mean?
Would I then go, like, take it and use it anyway? I mean, no, I'd probably just not eat there.
I'd be like, you guys are freaks and you guys are assholes. Jeannie oh man, are you ever wasting time with this guy? I hope the sex is good and the contraception better.
I guess it's just like it's kind of like he's fine to like cause friction in her rooming situation that she has to deal with when he's not there, just because he doesn't want to like abide by the rules that they've set.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I mean, he was called out by the roommate. I just think of them as so petty. I just think it's so petty. It's like, I don't know. I guess it's hard for me to look past that. I understand that's their culture, but it's like, dude, it's fucking hot sauce. Like, but you're right. He should ask. He should ask. I would just be like, you're an asshole if you're not going to share it. But to just take it is entitled. I guess I'm coming on board.
Yeah.
Natalie
okay, cool.
B. Wait, people are actually calling her the asshole all because she asked her BF to stop using her roommate's things without asking. It doesn't matter that it's just condiments. The fact is she asked him to stop and he's completely ignoring the request. You do not touch things that do not belong to you, even if you think it's no big deal. Simple.
Yeah, man. That's kind of the way I see it. It's like, it is just condiments, but like, then tell him to try to have that conversation with the roommates. I think that would not go over well.
Right. Just because we're talking about touching things. One time I was on the street in the city and this guy put his hand on my lower back.
What?
Yeah, I guess it's a thing some guys do to like kind of move you. I was like kind of in his way.
Oh, yes. I mean, welcome to being a woman. I'm just surprised he did it to you.
I was surprised too. And I actually just looked at him and said, there's no touching, sir.
Oh, I remember this.
And he got all like,
oh my God, yeah.
He got all ready to fight me.
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, that happens to me all the time. Like, being hurted via my lower back by strangers.
Touching your lower back? That's so weird.
Constantly.
I would never touch a woman's lower back without like knowing her. What the fuck?
Yeah, I hate it.
Nikki J, no assholes here, but seriously, grow up or break up. This is childish AF. I don't think so. I mean, I think look, I think a lot
is childish, but like, I don't think this alone is breakup worthy.
I think like a lot of people are probably coming from the same place I am because like, look, it is just condiments. We are talking about pennies, people. We are talking about nickels. This guy is stealing a nickel of ketchup, you know, but the thing about it is it doesn't matter, right? Because then we've gone into this a lot, right? Of like, my precious little thing, like the guy with the silly hand that was knocked off the roof, or like, I don't know, we've done a more recent one, but like, whatever. The bottom line is people have stupid rules and stupid shit that they care about. That could be ketchup. It could be a fucking old penny they found. You don't get to go, oh, well, your thing's unimportant. I don't give a shit about it.
Yeah.
Jamie M, your boyfriend is the asshole. Although it's just condiments and isn't really a big deal, it also shows you he has no respect for your roommates, even if it's just a squirt, as he put it. Just a squirt.
Yeah, that's funny. I mean, I think they should just go splitsies on their own condiments if this is going to be a thing.
Yeah. Sarah C.
So then is she wrong for wanting him to pay for all of them?
Well, no, she's saying get your own condiments. I mean, if she's not sharing, that's where I'm getting a little lost about her. Like, is she saying give me money so that you and I have our own condiments, but then she says buy his own and keep them at my place? I don't know.
Well, then, and now I'm getting like so granular with it because like I think they should just split condiments because otherwise he's gonna keep condiments in her fridge that only he's allowed to use.
And that takes up fridge. Too much. That takes up fridge real estate. You think they don't have a fridge? We have a very strict fridge real estate agreement in place. So.
Oh yeah.
JENTA, but this is dumb. Sarah C, OP's NTA, boyfriend and roommate are both being shitty. Like the condiments belong to roommate and they absolutely have the right to demand payment from boyfriend, who shouldn't be taking things that don't belong to them. But at the same time, it's just fucking hot sauce.
I wonder, like this to me might just be a thing where they would have said yes if they'd asked, but they're just mad he didn't ask.
Exactly. It's not respecting. It's disrespectful. It's the same thing. Like, look, we did the bathroom one. It's like if someone says, yo, you can't use my bathroom, then you go, well, it wouldn't do any damage. I would keep it all. But it's like, no, the answer is no. It's my bathroom and that's a boundary. And you disrespect that shit. And you don't get to decide that my reasoning is shitty. So you don't have to respect me. Mm-hmm. Raven W, seriously, YTA, buy some damn condiments for your guests to use while over visiting. Does he have to pay you for each glass of water he drinks or every time he flushes the toilet? This is beyond ridiculous. That is beyond ridiculous. But now that I'm reading it, I actually think OP is not saying that. I think OP is saying, it follows immediately. OP says, The roommate says, did he take my sauce without saying anything? OP, I felt bad and apologized later. I then demanded my boyfriend give me some money to buy more condiments. I think that she was referring to replacing the hot sauce or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
So I don't think she was saying like, I'm not going to share my condiments with OP. That was never the problem. The problem was that, or with boyfriend, the problem was that boyfriend was using the roommate's condiments. So OP doesn't have those condiments. That's the whole problem.
Right. That is the problem. If OP was trying to nickel and dime her own boyfriend for using like her personal ketchup, that would be like overboard.
Okay, before you use my salt, let me just count. It's 1 penny per grain. Okay, that's about 49 grains.
And I have 4 million grains in there, and yes, I counted.
Yeah, that is my chief store of wealth. So I do need you to cover these. Top Reddit comment, LA Kings of Metal writes, just condiments still cost just money. It's fair to ask him to supply his own, or at least buy some to replenish and make good since they don't belong to either of you, NTA.
Just like throw the roommates like $5 every quarter. Like, this is how much condiments cost.
Yeah, I don't think this is a money thing. I hope it's not, for God's sake. I think this is a respect thing.
Yeah. To me, it just seems like the respect because he's just like helping himself to their condiments without saying anything.
Right. And like hot sauce can go fast. Like I've had some really nice hot sauces and like, yeah, I'd be fucking TO'd if like a third of the bottle was missing. I'd be like, yo, that's my like freaking PD, dude. AITA for demanding my boy give me money for condiments that he uses at my apartment. I think we agree not the asshole the boyfriend is.
Yes.
AITA for yet more proof that this is just a podcast of break up with him. Though we're not saying break up with him, but basically.
No, I'm not. I do think that the sub tends to go overboard sometimes. This to me doesn't seem breakup worthy. No. Although that said, if you can't find a very easy compromise over these condiments, then maybe you should break up.
Totally. Friendly reminder, rate, review, subscribe. Join us on Patreon, patreon.com/AITA pod. Tons of juice in there. We love you guys. Get whatever you want. Call in show. You name it. AITA for telling my parents I hope their decision haunts them in death. Hell yeah. We're going to a dark place for this, folks.
Dark. Literally.
My twin and I are the oldest of 5 siblings, all in our 20s. Our parents have always called me the good son, and I've always looked out for my sibs. This includes my twin. My twin is the kind of person who can't hold a job, but it's, quote, never his fault, unquote, despite constantly calling out and faking illness. He always takes but never gives back. You get the picture. But we always just brush it off as, he's family. I, however, stopped with the enabling behavior. Recently, I was discussing my parents' wills with them. My twin and I don't make that much, but we get by. Our other sibling makes okay to decent money. My parents told me that they intended to leave the house and a good amount of money to my twin. The rest of us would get equal amounts of everything else. I asked them why they would give so much to the kid who has done nothing but leech off of them and never helped when they needed it, despite talking about how he would any other day, but conveniently not the day they asked him. They shrugged it off with, he's our kid and we know you can't carry him forever with how he's acting. We might as well give him a safety net. I tried to protest, saying that their final gesture was basically further enabling him. I myself have stopped defending this guy. He's barely hanging by a thread and needs to learn how to make it on his own. I think this info would just make him smug and complacent, but my parents won't see it my way. I blew up at them, saying that they better hope this decision doesn't haunt them in death. Especially because my sis just finished her chemo and is still paying off her medical debt. The amount she and the rest of us are being left would cover some of it, but still leave a bit for her to pay off herself. If anyone deserved to have a house and that much money, it's her. My parents later told me my other brother their side of what happened, and he thinks that although the twin sucks, it's ultimately mom and dad's money and house, so it's their choice. I think my frustration at this situation is justified, but I probably should have calmly explained it to my parents. AITA for that outburst.
I mean, I definitely think the frustration is justified.
I'm a little, like, confused. So this is a twin. Twin can't hold a job, but it's never his fault. He's calling out and faking illnesses. He always takes and never gives back. I don't know, I guess it's hard for me to understand. Like, it can be hard, but like, can't hold on to a job is a pretty big, like, mark against someone on like a functional level. Like, I personally believe that people want to have jobs. They want to do work. They want to be productive members of society. And so when they can't do that, I don't tend to think like, oh, they're lazy. I tend to think, they have mental illness of some kind.
Interesting. Yeah. I could see that read. I was kind of just thinking like, I mean, I think there's plenty of people who are just like inherently just don't want to work, and you know, they keep a job for X amount of time and then they do something selfish and whatever, or dumb, and burn that bridge and kind of rinse and repeat. I see it on Reddit relationships a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I just overall my thing is like, look, like if the parents think that this son is like a mess and they think that he should be kind of more protected financially, you know, that's kind of the right people to make that decision.
I mean, that's the way that I feel. It's like it's their money to do with it. And like, yeah, you cannot agree with it. I think that's, you know, your prerogative. But I think saying it's going to haunt them in death is like extremely fucked up.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was said out of anger. I don't really view that as that harsh, but I'd be like,
really?
No, if my kid told me that, I mean, maybe I'd talk it out of my ass, but I'd be like, yeah, well, I know I'm going to die. So what's your point? It's not going to haunt me.
Well, it's kind of just like, to me, it's like you're making your will like in preparation of your death to like provide for people when you're gone. So to say like, oh, I hope this doesn't haunt you in death, like you're really just throwing like the last, to me, it's like very fucked up to say, because I can't really articulate why.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're like, yeah, I mean, it's invoking a dark thing. It's disrespectful, but I don't know. I don't think it's some kind of, it's rude. It's certainly rude. I can see my mom getting offended, but my dad would be like, yeah, I won't. That's what he would say. It won't haunt me in my death, but thank you. Jennifer J, YTA, it's not your money. Anything you get is a gift. You seem to be under the impression that them leaving you anything is about you. It's not. It's about their peace of mind, knowing their family is taken care of after they're gone. If it gives them peace knowing your sibling will be taken care of after they pass, then they should follow through with their plan by giving them hell over their choice. You have effectively stolen their peace. No. He's not casting a spell. It was just a thing he said, and it was a rude thing. I don't think that's how haunting works. I think that's a little ridiculous.
I don't know. I think it's kind of like, I think it is fucked up what OP said. And like, yes, everyone, like people do say fucked up things out of anger. I'm going to go ahead and just venture that is the most common way in which fucked up things are said. I don't think most of us go around feeling joyful, being like, you know what? I hope you die, you know? So, okay. I don't know why. If I do articulate it, I'll probably do it at like 3 a.m, and I'll send you a text.
Here's what it is, Sarah. I think look, ultimately it is obviously the parents' rights. I also believe that the parents have the best possible perspective to make this choice. My concern is that if OP is getting this angry and this worked up and this involved in this whole situation, right? And this is his twin, by the way. He doesn't say identical or fraternal, but that's kind of interesting. This is his twin. That's a special kind of bond, I personally believe, from the outside. Probably a little more special than just a run-of-the-mill brother or sister. Call me crazy. Just because they're the same age as you, there's a very direct competition, right? So I guess to kind of see OP's side, like, yeah, that was a fucked up thing to say, but like, you know, this decision is hard on him, right? Because like this person is the same age as him, and his life is fucked up. And like, yes, I am kind of trying to spin like maybe this is mental illness or something. Like something about this guy is kind of like maybe deserving of sympathy. But for OP, it's kind of like, God damn. And now my twin, after fucking me my whole life, you know, he always taking, never giving back, you know. I'm sick of it, but now he's getting more of the inheritance. I will be pissed. It's unfair.
Yeah, I mean, this is like, it's not, like, it is about the money, but it's also just like about a lot of pent up resentment. But then, like, I don't know, make it about that. Like, OP is clearly just mad that the parents have been enabling his twin for so long.
And this is just another manifestation of the enabling.
Yeah, completely. You can view it that way. Or you can also view it their way, which is like, you guys have the tools to like succeed and he needs our help more. I mean, I'm not going to like sit here and argue like who's right.
Yeah, it's hard to know. It's hard to know. Nico asks NTA they need to stop effing around and see him for who he is. They need to realize they're shitty enablers who are ensuring the only lesson he learns is how rewarding it is to be a dick person.
I mean, they're in their 20s. I guess also I'm like, are the parents dying? Like, they can update their will. It's not imminent, and it could change.
Right. Yeah, and I there's also another aspect here. Our parents have always called me the good son. You know,
your parents said that to you?
That's in the situation, Sarah.
Oh.
No, that would be really weird and toxic.
Yeah. Okay, so the parents maybe are weird and toxic.
It is toxic, absolutely. The good son, what the fuck is that? I see a lot of codependency. Not to just throw that shit out there, but like. Why? So they're buttering the son up and he's always looking out for them? It sounds like the parents got their hands off the wheel. That's not his job.
I mean, that's a pretty, I feel like, common family dynamic where it's just like no good deed goes unpunished. And it's like, oh, well, we know you know you can take care of yourself. And you see it as like, oh, now I'm getting fucked over for being self-sufficient. Definitely not at all coming from a personal place.
Right. Yeah, I think that's toxic. I think it's toxic. Nobody should have to look out for nobody. That's the parents' job. You know?
Yeah, I mean, they're looking out for their children in different ways. Ways that like OP and other people may not agree with.
No, but I'm saying if when he was growing up, like the idea that OP kind of identifies as like I've always looked out for my siblings. Why? You should not have looked out for your siblings. That's not your job is to look out for you. You're a kid. You're a moron. You don't know anything. Why don't you focus on you? To me, that says the parents are like, oh, you know, it is what it is. No,
I think you're reaching. Like everybody should look out for their siblings. It doesn't mean you're parenting them, but it means that you care about their best interests.
Well, yes, yes, Sarah, of course. But I'm not saying don't love them. I'm saying the context of they called him the good son. That's what I'm saying. That he's linking those two things. Our parents have always called me the good son, and I've always looked out for my siblings, right? So there is I see a parentification there. Yes, you are a good son. Always keeping an eye on your miscreant twin. You know, like I see that as a dynamic, but you could be right. I could be reaching.
Meh. I'm not sold.
Jania J NTA, but this is their decision. If they want to enable him in his stupidity, that's on them. Top Reddit comment, Secret Rado, a username I love. I'm not sure why. I think your parents are pretty awful for worrying more about the financial stability of a healthy moocher than they are about a child struggling to beat cancer. That's pretty true.
I mean, yeah, like.
That's hard to justify.
Yeah, I agree.
It's their money and they can do anything they want with it, but they look/sound horrible. As long as you were arguing that your sister should get more due to her vulnerability and not to increase your own inheritance, NTA. I don't hear a lot that he is trying to increase his own.
But like, I don't think that's what OP is doing because OP sort of just said that as a footnote, and this whole thing is just about their like lifelong resentment of their twin.
I think OP is taking this very personally, and this is a personal affront that his fucking...
Yeah, this isn't about who deserves it more. This is about their personal dynamic with their twin. Absolutely.
And they were called the good son, but they've gotten the short end of the stick all the way through their life, and they're pissed.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'm almost ready to say info because I don't know if... For all I know, look, one twin can't hold down a job and sucks. And maybe the other twin is just like fucking pissed off because he's, you know, like kind of like co-opting that struggle instead of just being like, look, my twin just can't hold down a job. That's none of my business. I'll just focus on me. You know what I mean?
So what's the info that you need?
The info that I need is, are these parents enablers? Are they actually kind of shitty parents? And the twin is right, and the picture the twin is basically painting here is like they've made him the good son and they've enabled the other son his whole life, and this is just yet another manifestation of that. In that case, I would say NTA and the parents are, but to try to play it more as it lays, I'm ready to just kind of say YTA. I feel like I'm going to just assume that this twin that the parents have the eagle's eye view and they see that the twin is actually incompetent and he's a fucking idiot or whatever, it may be, or mentally ill or whatever it may be, merely incapable and needing of a safety net. And that's their kind of decision, you know?
I guess my thing is, regardless, I feel like it's their inheritance to do what they want. And like, yeah, OP has no, like, to throw their last act ever on Earth in eternity in their face, I think is fucked up. I still think it's like a YTA.
Yeah, I think so. If I knew more, maybe I could switch. AITA for telling my parents I hope their decision haunts them in death. We ultimately do agree, YTA.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Please rate, review, and subscribe. Join us on Patreon, patreon.com/AITA pod. It's time for everybody's favorite part of the show, listener submissions. AITA for getting mad at my friends for giving me a low participation score in a group project. Oh, I'm in grad school, living in grad student housing with 4 roommates. 3 of my roommates...
I was hoping it would say, I'm in grad school, living in grad student housing with 4 grads.
I should have. 3 of my roommates are in the same grad program as me. Grad. Our other roommate is in a different program. The 4 of us in the same program naturally became friendly our first week living together because we all had the same classes and clicked on a personality level. Wow, so this is a 5-person household. A lot of people.
That's a lot.
A lot of roommates.
That is a frat house.
That's a frat house. One of our classes require we participate in weekly group assignments. So the 4 of us decided to be in a group together because it seemed convenient for us to meet to work on the project since we all live together. Well, we started doing the weekly assignments and used it as a collective bonding learning experience. Like all roommates, we had our ups and downs working on the weekly assignments over the course of the semester. But overall, we pulled off a solid semester project grade. Also, we became quite close friends. Or so I thought.
Da, da, da.
At the end of the semester, as an extra participation grade, our professor asked us to fill out surveys about each group member, including ourselves. There was a 1 to 10 ranking on 10 questions. The questions were generic participation inquiries like, quote, did this group member participate in all weekly assignments? Did this group member significantly contribute to the weekly assignments? The professor asked us to be honest during our grading. Even though I had issues with several of my roommates' friends' actions over the course of the semester, such as them skipping out on projects meetings or showing up to meetings stoned/drunk, I sucked it up and gave all my members moderate to high scores. I wished everyone a happy holiday, exchanged some gifts, and left for break. Wow, this is so long. A week after my last final, I got my grade in for the class. To my horror, my class grade had dropped by nearly 8 points. While my final grade wasn't perfect, I knew it shouldn't have dragged the semester down so much. I asked the professor. He told me it was my participation grade for the group project. What was supposed to be a grade booster had the opposite effect. My roommates and group partners had given me a combined average score of 62. I was horrified and embarrassed. Fortunately, my professor was confused by the response from my fellow group members, as I was the one they nominated every week to present our group's abstract. I was also the one to always email the assignment directly to him every week, save for 1 week when I had strep. Further, I had a higher final average than all of them. Thankfully, he bumped my grade up, salvaging my overall grade in the class. So I confronted my roomies via text over holiday. No one responded. After returning from holiday, I confronted them again, and all but one of them didn't understand why I was so upset. The 2 holdouts said we were supposed to be honest and thought I could have contributed more to the discussions. I admitted that I was sometimes nervous to object to their proposals, but always advocated fervently for their ideas in class in order to be a team player. Additionally, I was the one organizing and typing up the proposals every week, submitting them to the professor and presenting them to our fellow classmates because my roommates didn't want to. When I countered with the fact that I gave them top marks when they had skipped out on more than a handful of meetings or showed up intoxicated, they said that was a choice I had made. Wow. Oof. They also didn't understand why I was hurt when I got the highest grade out of everybody in the apartment. I told them I was hurt because I would never jeopardize my friend's academic success, and they should have vocalized their concerns over my lack of participation earlier. The one roommate who felt bad about the grade later came to me and apologized. She said she had been harboring some resentment towards all of us in the apartment for an unrelated living issue and took it out on us via the surveys. I forgave her because at least she was honest. When time came for the second part of the class and another round of group projects, I refused to be in a group of my roommates. I told them I wanted to interact with other program participants, so I joined a new group. My two roommates, who never apologized or acknowledged why I was upset, threw a fit and are refusing to speak to me both in class and at our apartment. My other roommate, the one who apologized, opted to join a different group too. However, she hasn't been ostracized by the other two. As an aside, our fifth roommate didn't return from the holiday break, so it's really just the four of us and half of us aren't speaking to one another.
Dramatic.
Is it
dramatic?
Yeah.
Okay. The thing is, like, if they had a problem with her, they should have 100% voiced it earlier and not just taken it out on her when it's too late for her to do anything. That said, like, this could go one of two ways, where it's like they just decided to fuck over OP about something unrelated, or like we all have that person in our company meetings who just restates what everyone else says to try to sound smart and like bullshits and never actually says anything. And like, just because you're typing up a proposal doesn't necessarily mean that you're contributing to it. Like, oh, you sent an email off to the professor? Like, thanks so much.
I guess it's hard because the holistic picture to me, I trust OP. I just wanted to say as an aside, I know the person you're talking about. That person has been in classes with me. They followed me my whole life. And let me say this, invariably, that person will take exactly what I said, reword it, and then the person that I like the most that I'm trying to impress will not have heard me say it, and we'll hear them say it, and then we'll go, that's a great idea. And
it's the worst. It's the worst.
It's the worst. Let me say that I trust OP, even though I think a lot of people in the commenters are like, well, OP, you're not telling the whole story. Isn't it interesting, OP, that you're perfect and all your roommates hate you, blah, blah, blah. I think OP is probably type A, and she's probably not that much fun, but I think it's very evident to me that she is the hardest worker here. I don't actually think that she's that person who's regurgitating at the meeting, Sarah. That doesn't ring with me. Why? Because she has the highest grade in the class. So she's kicking ass in every possible way.
That's true.
It just doesn't ring. I'm profiling here, and I think what the stupid roommates thought was probably, if I ding her, that'll make me look better. Because they all knew they did less than her. That's my read.
I could see that. I think also the fact that like the roommate relations have completely deteriorated also just points to them being like petty. Yes.
Ash and W, info needed. You aren't telling the full story.
I mean, she's not, right? Because there's two sides to the story. But like, I don't think OP... I didn't really get the sense that OP is like intentionally obscuring details.
No.
I think if she is leaving them out, she doesn't know them.
Yeah.
And that's because the other people are stonewalling her.
Right. Lexi G felt similarly. She said, if you're not holding on any info, maybe another reason they were feeling some type of way about you, then they're the assholes. But it's hard to convince the internet that they're all really the assholes when you paint a picture of you as perfection. Very well put.
I mean, that is the inherent flaw of this subreddit.
It's true.
And just the internet.
But I don't think she's a picture painter. I don't know. I don't like these roommates. One explicitly said it wasn't about the fucking thing. One explicitly...
Yeah, I mean, that's like fucked up.
EW peer participation scores like this just encourage people to be passive aggressive. I mean, look, are we really talking about a good group when they themselves missed over a handful of meetings due to being drunk? I mean, that's crazy. That is crazy.
Yeah. I'm also surprised that this is like a grad program. I'm like, damn, you guys are still doing this like undergraduate shit. Damn. Okay.
It's wild. Karen H., this is so hard to judge without hearing other sides, since many people in group projects think they're doing equal or more work when they actually aren't. Oh my God, I just had a flashback to a community college class I took where this woman did her side of the work, and I thought it was totally unusable. And I was just like, oh, we're not going to use this. Anyways, that was awkward. Karen H., I'd go with no assholes here because I don't blame you for getting upset, but they're entitled to their opinions, and if all of them gave a low score, you're probably not contributing as much as you think.
Yeah, unless they all did what that one roommate did and they were mad at her because she didn't replace the toilet paper and they nuked her grade. I don't know.
I feel like the stereotype of group projects is true. One person invariably does the vast majority of the work. I say...
yeah, I mean, I'm not going to fight you on that. I do think that there's truth to it.
That was OP. OP did the majority of the work, and they took a shot at her because they knew they were fucked. And they probably assumed that OP would nuke their ass.
That's valid.
You know? And that's maybe why they even said, like, well, that's on you. That's on you. It is true.
Yeah, that was so rude.
Yeah, that's pretty rude.
Well, that's a choice you made. It's like, okay.
I trust OP. They're a submitter. I think they're type A. You know, they really went in. This is a long submission. To me, this very much drips of thoroughness, of diligence, of intelligence, of likability. Maybe they're a little difficult to work with, but they did the most of the work. There's no doubt. There is no doubt in my mind. I really have no doubt about their credibility.
Yeah, I was just trying to make it a little interesting, but I kind of believe that the roommates are petty.
OP, I'm sorry if I said you weren't fun. This isn't a fun topic. I think you probably are fun when you're not on about your schoolwork. Deanna L, seems like we're missing a lot here. As someone who has done a lot of group stuff, I can tell you that people that thought they were doing great often were not. But I honestly hate these types of scores and feel they offer no benefit. When I taught college, I never used them. They're rubbish. I agree with that. I mean, I hate group.
I mean, this is the thing, too, because when you live with people, you should have the common courtesy to be like, all right, what's our strategy for these scores?
Right.
This is not just some random ass person. Like, you live with this person.
Right.
Have some accountability.
No question. No question. Yeah, I think we agree then. AITA for getting mad at my friends for giving me a low participation score in a group project. Not
the asshole, and they are?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. That's my read here.
I mean, pending one of those, like, amazing Reddit twists like we had in the Patreon, I'm gonna go with not the asshole.
Yeah, I don't see that happening, but you're right. That could the roommate could. Oh, you don't realize OP actually, didn't do anything. They were drunk the whole time.
It's like, yeah, we were drunk, but OP was blacked out.
Yeah. We paid someone on Fiverr to transcribe our drunken ramblings. What are you guys studying? Surgeons. Anyway.
Oh my God.
All right, guys. That's the app. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next Monday morning.
Bye.